Hi, Living Hope, and welcome to this midweek devotional. Today we continue on the theme of wisdom, and today I want us to look at James chapter 3. We'll be looking at verses 13 and 18 to see what it says about wisdom. And so we read, "Who is wise and understanding among you? By his good conduct let him show his works in the meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. And the harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace." The word of the Lord. And so today what I want us to grasp first and foremost is that man's wisdom is different from God's wisdom. God's wisdom, according to Proverbs 28:28 says, "To fear the Lord is true wisdom. To forsake evil is real understanding." In other words, to follow God, to believe in God, to trust in God is true wisdom. And that the contrast of that is found in Psalm 14:1. It says that the fool says, "There is no God." So the question is, are we wise? And the question is, what is wisdom? And so first and foremost, wisdom is not intelligence. Having an education, having a degree, knowing a lot of facts and science, knowing a lot of mathematics, knowing a lot of English and history, and knowing a bunch of things and having an education is not necessarily being wise. You might be intelligent, but it doesn't mean that you are wise according to the scriptures. True wisdom is not education. True wisdom is believing in God and what God can do for you and for me. And so, according to this passage, it says that by his good conduct, let him show his works in the meekness of wisdom. And so, someone who is wise also behaves in a manner that shows other people that God is in him and in her. But when we are not wise and when we follow what the world says that is wisdom, oftentimes it leads to arrogance and it leads to us feeling superior to other people. And it's the opposite of the way Jesus acted. Jesus was a humble man. Even though he was the greatest man who ever lived, he was meek and humble. And Paul was also a great man, yet he said, "Not I, but Christ." He said he didn't boast in anything. He didn't boast in riches. He didn't boast in human wisdom, but he boasted only in knowing Christ. Because the world's version of wisdom is being powerful and having a position of power and gaining wealth. And often those things lead to jealousy and to arguing and fighting and envy and coveting and wanting more and more and more. And so those things lead to evil to the point where people are willing to kill other people. And we have that example with Cain killing his brother over jealousy and over envy. And so the wisdom of the world often produces evil. And the scripture says here that it is often unspiritual and even demonic. But true wisdom, according to the scripture, has a personality. And that personality is described in verses 17 and 18. And wisdom, according to the scripture, is pure. And Psalm 24:3 says that only the pure will be in heaven. Wisdom is peaceable. And Matthew 5:9 says to be a peacemaker. Wisdom is gentle. And Ephesians 4:32 says to forgive at all times. Wisdom is obedient. And John 14:15 says to show obedience towards God. Wisdom is full of mercy, and Titus 3:2 tells us to speak evil of no one. Wisdom bears good fruits, and Galatians 5:22 tells us to show the fruits in our lives every day. Wisdom is without partiality, and 1 Timothy 5:21 tells us to treat everyone the same no matter where they come from. And wisdom is without hypocrisy. And 1 John 3:18 tells us to love in word and in deed, in what we do and what we say and how we act. And so are we wise? Because wisdom plants seeds, and there is a harvest of righteousness that is sown in peace by those who make peace. And so how wise are you? Are you wise enough to believe in God? Are you wise enough to say, I place my trust in God and will follow his commandments and his words and his teachings? Or are you a fool that says, there is no God? I want nothing to do with God. I want nothing to do with his word. Let us be wise, living hope, and put our trust in God, because no amount of intelligence, no amount of education, no amount of degrees will impress God. What impresses God is placing our trust in him.